Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idris. Tonight, we focus on Nigeria's role in stopping an attempted coup in neighboring Benin Republic. Following an early morning takeover of a state television station by armed men in military uniform, Benin's authorities requested urgent support. Nigeria responded by deploying fighter jets and ground troops, helping to shoot down the coup attempt and restore constitutional order. The intervention has drawn mixed reactions. Some have praised Nigeria's speed and influence in the sub-region. Others question why the same level of urgency and force is not seen in tackling terror attacks and insecurity within Nigeria. To unpack these issues, we are joined by former Minister of Youth and Sport, Barr Solomon Dalung, who recently raised pointed concerns in a public commentary. Thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much once again for this opportunity.
But before then, let's bring you up to speed with the latest developments in the polity.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says the Boko Haram insurgency has dragged on for 15 years with no clear end in sight, lasting far longer than Nigeria's 38-month civil war. He warns that insecurity driven by insurgency and banditry will persist unless the military gets specialized foreign training, improves intelligence gathering, and adopts modern technology. A high-level delegation of United States lawmakers and diplomats visited Nigeria on Sunday on a security fact-finding mission driven by concerns in Washington over alleged killings of Christians. One of the lawmakers, Riley Moore, said the delegation held several meetings aimed at reviewing Nigeria's security situation. The U.S. congressional delegation met with Nigeria's National Security Advisor Nuri Bado as part of discussions on security cooperation. The talks followed renewed diplomatic engagement between both countries amid growing concern in the U.S. over claims of targeted violence against Christians in Nigeria.
Welcome back. And for this week's State of the Nation, here is Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed.
2 days ago, there was an attempted coup in Benin Republic, our immediate neighbor. If the coup had succeeded, and we're very happy that it didn't, that would have made the West African zone and the Sahel the most coup-prone region of Africa. It would isolate Nigeria, isolate the 2 or 3 other countries that are still under democratic rule, and create an environment literally being run by the military. In those countries where coups had succeeded, we have watched and we have not seen any marked difference between the governments, democratically elected governments they overthrew, and the military junta that governed them. We understand that the coup was put down substantially with support from Nigeria. While a lot of people may celebrate the fact that Nigeria showed leadership and clout, Nigeria should worry. We need to examine whether in the process of helping the current regime in Benin Republic, we have not, either unwillingly or unwittingly, played into the hands of those who would say we have violated either some fundamental international rules or we've created pockets of enemies in our neighbor. In any case, the point is Benin and many other African countries in West Africa and Sahel are on the verge of collapsing their democratic systems. And we don't know what will happen next. This is alarming. Generally speaking, most responsible Nigerians are reluctant to talk about coups and their implications for a good reason. We don't even want to contemplate the idea that military rule is welcome, is feasible, and we can live with it. The truth is that those who understand what military rule is and recognize the fact that it is not superior to a democratic system. My generation and a lot of other Nigerians have lived with military. We do not want to live under military rule in Nigeria. And if we had our choices, we would advise that other African countries and other African cities, Africans do not also live with the military or under the military. But we have a problem. if you ask the many reasons why coups take place, substantially they are caused by democratically elected people who turn around and oppose all the fundamentals of the democratic system. They run governments badly, they rig elections, they violate all the laws of the land and stay in power for a long, long time. Citizens watch. Citizens know that their leaders have no respect for the law. Why should citizens prefer democratically elected governments to the military? The antidote to coups is for democratically elected regimes to radically improve the quality of governance, the security of the citizen, the welfare of the citizen. The attempted coup in Benin Republic should be a reminder to us that the President Tinubu and his administration have to radically and substantially improve the quality of life in Nigeria so that we can make a loud case for the sustenance of the democratic values that we fought so hard to gain in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, for that insightful commitment and support to the Nigeria's development. Once again, welcome to Daily Politics, and Barrister Solomon Dalung. We are happy once again to have you in our studios. The big question is, how happy are you with the decision taken by President Tinubu?
Well, I think it will be a paradox for me to say I'm happy, except that I will have to congratulate the president for now demonstrating that he has the capacity to bring to an end, within an hour, the insecurity in Nigeria. But he has chosen not to do it because he has demonstrated in Benin Republic yesterday. There was a coup, the putschis took over effectively, took over even the national television station, dissolved the government, closed borders, airspace and sea, and they were in control of the country. Suddenly, the Nigerian president, the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, deployed fighter jets that immediately occupied the airspace. And ground troops were rolled in to restore constitutional order, just within a twinkling of an eye. And here we are, over 2 years getting to a half, with school children in the forest under the control of bandits, with communities taken over, with a general who survived an ambush, maneuvered his way into safety, contacted his establishment, disclosed his location, and we were told that he was recaptured.
You are making reference to Brigadier General Uba.
Brigadier General Musa Uba. Even though ISWAP had released a statement that they have executed him, but of course they did not give us evidence, which is another thing that created some doubt in our mind, because this terrorist group, sometimes when they do things like this, they leave the public with evidence. Now we have no evidence. So in my own mind, as a revolutionary Democrat, I am suspecting that they may be holding him as a big stake, taking into consideration the threat now that US is coming. So they will want to hold him so that they
as
can...
As a prize captive.
Yeah, as a prize captive, so that they can negotiate their survival. So,
okay, now taking you back to Benin Republic, you showed a scenario that, okay, the forces, they have succeeded in taking over a lot of places, but then within an hour, Nigeria was there and everything crumbled. I ask, are you happy or you have questions on that?
I am, look, immediately I heard this, I became devastated because, and I've been traumatized actually. I've been traumatized that we had the aircraft, air asset that can be deployed within a short span of time to bring a situation under control.
To change the tide.
That we even had the ground troops still on standby that can move. But yet 300 students were marched.
Well, they said they brought 100 again from Niger, even though we are yet to see them, of course. But
do you expect me to celebrate that? 300 were kidnapped. Why are they bringing 100? And you see, the way this government is behaving is raising a lot of suspicion and making the government a prime suspect of insecurity. The other time, the special advisor to the president, when they released the church worshippers, who were kidnapped, and he said, oh, we got in touch with them. We discuss and prevail on them to release, meaning that the government knew where these terrorists are. The government have access to them, and the government can communicate with them. So why is the government interested in inflicting pains on Nigerians who are kidnapped and taken into the bush to pay ransom? So what happened in Benin, as much as I congratulated the president because that has presented Nigeria as still that major regional player to be watched. But it also inducted the integrity of Nigeria and our sovereignty, because we cannot account for, with such asset, we are unable to tackle our challenges at home.
So if I understand, what you are saying is if Nigeria has that capability to go and intervene in a foreign country, this ought to have taken place back home. Is that correct?
Perfectly right. I'm saying that we have no reason to be lamenting and mourning every day because of terrorist attack and insecurity. We have no reason. And every Nigerian can say it without fear of contradiction, that what is happening to us is what the APC government wanted us to go through. If they want to end it, since going to Benin took them an hour, in Nigeria, within 30 minutes, these things will cease to exist. So that Nigerians are suffering the state of insecurity, that is what our government wants us to go through. If it is not so, the same speed, the same military asset, the same ground troops rolled in the Republic should be rolled to Zamfara, should be rolled to Sambisa, should be rolled to Jos, should be rolled to Kontagora, should be rolled to Mina, should be rolled to Sokoto, should be rolled to Katsina, should be rolled to Makodi, so that we can have peace.
But look at the geography and even the size of Benin Republic. Is it bigger than 1 or 2 states here? Meaning that containing a problem there might not necessarily be, a big deal compared to the complexities, that we have. Take Niger, for instance. It has the largest landmass, I think.
I agree with you. But look at also the distance from these aircrafts took off from Kainji. Meaning that the air asset used to save Benin Republic is very close inside Niger State. Yet, the people of Niger are being kidnapped every day. Yet, the people of Kwara are being captured every day. This is just like this Hausa adage. That, the cock lied on top of a bag of grains but it stabbed itself because of ignorance. So we had all these things, and yet this thing is happening to us. This coup in Benin has exposed Nigeria.
It has exposed Nigeria. Okay, now let's look at the legality or otherwise of the intervention. You are a legal practitioner in a way. You are a barrister. What is your take on the decision taken by the president?
Well, the decision taken by the president, I mean, going by the ECOWAS protocol, the ECOWAS protocol provides for such intervention. But coming back to our legal constitutional framework as a country, the act of the president is an impeachable act.
What?
It's an impeachable act because our constitution is categorical that the deployment of troops outside Nigeria can only be sanctioned by the National Assembly. Circumstances where the president is allowed to deploy troops before referring are when our territorial integrity is threatened. The president is allowed to spontaneously act before reference to the National Assembly. In this circumstance, we have no business. It's a regional issue. And there is even the ECOWAS protocol. So the president would have sent a proposal, a resolution to the National Assembly seeking for the deployment of our troops and air assets outside Nigeria.
Don't you think that the situation President Tinubu found himself in warrants him taking that abrupt decision, looking at the closeness of Benin, because from Lagos, it's just like from here in Jaibi crossing to Utako, or vice versa, and then almost all the countries surrounding Nigeria, they are now under, military regime in a way. Don't you think he acted fast to avert a catastrophe?
No, he acted fast to protect an undisclosed interest. What is the military capacity of Benin? The entire troops of Benin is not up to the 3rd Armored Division in Jos. So what threat do they pose to Nigeria? Therefore, the issue of acting promptly does not have anything to do with the interests of Nigeria, rather an undisclosed interest. If there were, why has the president been lackadaisical in dealing with internal threats that has shaken the foundation of our unity and shattered this country?
But do you know the undisclosed motive behind the deployment?
No, of course, it is a global war. If you look at the foreign interests of France in the Sahel, and then the displacement of France and certain Francophone countries, which this spate of military purge seems to suggest as a phenomenon that is gradually eroding to replace the monopoly of France in these Francophone countries. So France cannot on its own, after suffered the credibility in the highest states, cannot directly intervene. So it will need a partner who is close to intervene on his behalf. And of course, even if I were Tinubu, I could have done the same because his medical records are there. He goes to hospital there. So if he doesn't obey, then who knows? If he goes there again, he may not come back alive. So that's an undisclosed interest. So even if I were him, I would have...
This is a grievous allegation.
No, it's not an allegation.
Okay.
The president...
It's a suggestion.
No, it's not a suggestion. It is a non-fact. The president goes to France for his medical attention.
So he protects France's interest?
No, not protecting France's interest. His own interest. Because if my medical records is in your hand, it means my life is in your hand. And so if you suggest something to me, I'm not even going to say no because I'm looking at, if I say no, what will happen to me? So this is the scenario.
But you can see Nigerians, I don't know, from social media, if you look at it, the press is heading towards the direction of the president, unprecedented.
No. If you go to my page and look at my post.
I have it here. Also.
Very good. Which I said, congratulations to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for intervention in the Republic of Benin. Now Trump is welcome. It has one of the highest comments. It's the trending
but it's not surprising because you are his fierce critic. So whatever you said about him, nobody will be surprised.
Nobody, my page has always been balanced because his supporters have always been coming there to also criticize. Some of them attack my person. But on the average of what is happening on my page now, Nigerians are not smiling at all, are not celebrating it. Rather, Nigerians are so bitter because Nigerians knew better that they have been shortchanged by their government. That this government has the capacity. Nigeria has the capacity. Nigeria has the air asset. But for whatever reason, this government is playing politics with insecurity. And of course, every Nigerian knows it is 2027. Because this government, there is nothing on its agenda. It has abandoned governance since 2 years ago. It's interested in 2027.
And this brings me to this question. Is it really true that troops have been deployed? Have you seen the videos? Or is it just a gimmick? Because we know that anything can happen in Nigeria now.
It cannot be a gimmick. We hold the president by his pronouncement. It's the president that commanded the troops. We're not making empty statements. We are taking the statement of our commander-in-chief who commended the troops for work well done and commended our airmen for display of skill and strategic strike that neutralized the convoy of the Coupists. So these are statements of government. So it cannot, it's not, if it is going to be propaganda, if you say, oh, is it propaganda, I will be skeptical because this government is known for propaganda. It can even today begin to announce that the world has come to an end and that they saw God presiding in Wuse Market judging.
But that's why I'm asking, how did they even deploy? Looking at the problems, you know, facing almost all the theaters.
No, this is an easy thing. We have troops in Lagos.
So they can do
Yes, we have. In fact, we have a brigade very close around Badagry axis. So it is not like they're going to move troops elsewhere. No. It is this brigade that is by the border that will be deployed. After all, it is for such purposes. So it will be deployed to move in while the area support is given as a backdrop to the troops so as to neutralize the Coupists.
Now, no matter how laudable, you know, an action is, provided it is illegal, meaning you are putting something on nothing. Is that correct as a legal practitioner?
Nemo that non con habet.
Okay, so now what is the
You
position?
cannot give what you don't have.
Okay, now what is the decision in the eye of law? You know, the decision taken by the president. What do you think the National Assembly should do?
If we had a democracy, as we are talking, that should have been the conversation in the National Assembly. Testing the propriety and otherwise of the action of the president, gauging it alongside the Constitution, law, and other international protocol. But you know the type of National Assembly we have. This National Assembly, that a letter from the president can excite them, and they will just jump into their ignoble song. So I don't expect them to say anything because they have presented themselves in a manner as if they are a clueless legislature.
Are you saying maybe they don't even know there is this legal provision that the president cannot act the way he acted without recourse?
There are ranking members in the National Assembly who are very familiar with the Constitution. They so much master the Constitution even more than some lawyers. So they knew all those things. Some of them are scared. Some of them have been intimidated. Some of them have been courageously speaking for Nigerians, and so sometimes they are getting tired. Some of them are bench warmers and local choristers, just to clap hand and wrestle on your door, we shall stand. They keep singing this type of
But
song.
we expected maybe one or two of them to act since yesterday. This is almost 24 hours when that action was taken. Not necessarily at plenary, they mustn't have to be there, but even via the media.
The vocal ones might not be aware, but conversation like what we are doing now can also
Trigger, yes.
Trigger their minds to the issue, and they will look at it. So we give them another benefit of doubt as to how the conversation will be tomorrow. But it should have ordinarily started today. That why would the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria deploy our military and air asset into a neighboring country without the approval of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
But we had a precedent, right? During the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State, the president acted first before he took the request to the National Assembly and they endorsed it. Don't you think he will do the same, maybe following your intervention?
No, but the act itself is unlawful because the Constitution provides that he will have to seek before acting. So if he acts before seeking and had the endorsement of the National Assembly, it does not validate the act. The act remains contaminated in the eyes of the law. Therefore, what the National Assembly had done is the National Assembly had also violated the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for endorsing illegality.
So if the two erred, now who will bail the cat now?
If the two of them erred, Nigerians have an option of recall or patiently wait in the mosques and churches for 2027 to evaluate and assess their performance. Those who do well, return them. Those who are not fit to even see the road to Abuja will stay at home.
Now, someone will ask, there was some, warning when we had similar incident in neighboring Niger Republic, but we didn't act the way we acted. Is it that Nigeria is trying to recover lost grounds following threats, probably by President Trump, to now prove to him that, look, we still have the capacity to remain a regional power?
I think what happened in Niger took the due process of law, and that was why the National Assembly rejected it. Now, what happened in Benin, like I said, it has to do with personal interest that affects the president directly, because the way he reacted, it was like something pinched him. And for those of us who are researchers and also reviewing, like you said, the global power play, if this to him could have meant that he had proved to US that the Nigerian capability is intact, no, he had inducted himself, because the unwilling doctrine under international law provides that if a nation state is unable or unwilling, it's called unable and unwilling doctrine, to protect or prevent terrorists from attacking its citizen, then another nation state also has the right to intervene and prevent the terrorists from destruction of human lives. So what Donald Trump held on to is this particular principle. And the second principle, which you cannot prevent America if they want to come and intervene in Nigeria, is the declaration by ISWAP, by Boko Haram in 2013, that they are affiliates of ISIL and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria. By that declaration, they have upgraded their status to an international terror network.
But who created those groups, Boko Haram, ISWAP? We had a legislator in the American Congress who said, he called you said that they were once funding these, terrorist groups. And up till now, no statement from Trump or from any other legislator until the time we now arrive at even the threat to now invade Nigeria.
What prevented the National Assembly and the Nigerian government to deposit a complaint in the United Nations against the U.S. for the statement of their senator, who inducted one of the American agencies? What prevented Nigeria?
Well, they made an announcement that they will act on it. Especially here in Daily Trust, we pursued that case vigorously to the extent that we even interviewed some of the senators like Ali Ndumi, who said curiously that it's like the motion has disappeared into thin air. Don't you think they are in cohort?
No, Nigeria is complicit. That is why it failed to act. Because if an honest legislator in the U.S. had provided Nigeria with information, statistics, and data, the right thing for Nigeria to have done would have been to now go to Nigerian National Assembly. A motion would have been debated and taken, and a formal complaint deposited in the United Nations challenging the activities of the so-called American state agencies that turned out to be in Africa conduits of funding terrorism. But why the Nigerian state could not do anything is that, a man who has palm oil on his hands cannot wear white cloth. So they prefer to be shouting that, oh, a senator has raised this, so that they can cover up the track of their own wrongdoing. Because if that issue is investigated, a lot of heads will roll in Nigeria.
Now, are you satisfied with some of the decisions being taken by the government? For instance, in the last 2 weeks, the president has ordered the withdrawal of police from VIPs. You didn't come with your own today to this studio. Have they withdrawn your police orderlies?
You see, I don't know why the president will always want to demean the status and the office of the president of Nigeria. Withdrawal of police, how does it add up to the war against terrorism? The war against terrorism, from what we have seen so far, is the lack of the political will of the commander-in-chief to give order to deal with it.
He has given now. He has declared state of emergency.
No, that's not even the order. We are familiar with orders given by the commanders-in-chief. Obasanjo, in 2000, when Kaduna erupted into volatile violence, Governor Ahmed McCarthy, may God bless him, called the president on his cell phone and said, Your Excellency, I have a very serious security issue that is threatening our unity. Can you put troops at my command to deal with it? And Obasanjo donated the power of the commander-in-chief to McCarthy to command troops in Kaduna, and he brought the situation under control in less than 3 days. The same Obasanjo, in 2004, when Boko Haram was then known as Nigerian Taliban, they took over 2 local governments in Yobe. Obasanjo called the chief of defense staff and the service chief and told them, I gave you guys 72 hours to recover those local governments or please report with my uniform. In 72 hours, the issue was brought under control. You may say he's a soldier. Late President Musa Yar'Adua, late President Umaru Yar'Adua, may God admit him into Al-Jannah Fidawsi, the best president Nigeria never had because of ill health, was on his way to Japan when Boko Haram attacked 5 police stations and burned them down in Maiduguri. He turned back by the staircase of his aircraft and gave order to the service chiefs and said, before I return from Japan, I want that nonsense to have been brought under control. And before he returned, it was brought under control. From this analysis I gave you.
But we still have the ashes of the Boko Haram.
Yes, but
15 years after,
yes.
Just yesterday you had Obasanjo say he's still in shock that this Boko Haram insurgency has protracted far, far, far more than the civil war, which lasted how many years? 1967.
You know, what Obasanjo is saying is that Nigeria as a giant is capable, but the leadership is unwilling, just like what the Bible says, the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. We have one of the best military. I have been saying this.
You think we still have?
Oh my good God. These troops we have, even if you ask them to carry cutlasses, they can smoke out these idiots with all the weapons they hold.
Who is stopping them?
There is no political will.
Then if you talk about
the president has proven now.
This crisis, Barrister, this crisis has, outlived how many presidents? Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, Buhari. So why are we now taking the whole blame to the table?
Let us be fair in our historical review.
Okay.
Obasanjo did very well. Every crisis he dealt with it and handled it. Even the Plateau crisis, he brought it to an end before he left office. Yar'Adua dealt with every crisis, even the Niger Delta agitation. He became the first president who went into the Niger Delta, and the second human being was myself in 2016. They dealt with it. These problems started escalating under President Goodluck Jonathan, and it developed thick skin under my boss, President Muhammadu Buhari. And now it has wings. It's flying under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So these two presidents did their best. They were commander-in-chief.
Why do you think President Tinubu is incumbent in addressing the problem? Since you said we have the right troops and all that. Why?
I think the encumbrance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is that he became a victim of early wrong decision, just like Buhari. So his government slipped off his hands into the cabal phenomenon. And today, whatever his wishes for Nigeria are, they are not necessarily seeing the light of the day.
Are you saying he is also caged?
No, he of course. The president is a stranger of his government, and I have examples to give.
Okay, give us.
The president nominated ministers, signed a letter, and sent to the National Assembly. And the then national chairman of PDP,
or APC?
APC, Ganduje, former governor of Kano State, raised an alarm that they didn't know who nominated the nominee from Kano. And the nominee was on her way for screening. And they told her, oh, your name has been changed. Another one from Delta, the same thing. Now, the president, in his ministerial nominee nominated a dead senator from
Yobe. You are referring to ambassadorial nominees.
Yes, ambassadorial nominee. He nominated a dead senator.
Senator Talba.
Adamu Talba, which maybe he intend to assign him to be an envoy to either hell or heaven. The irony of this nomination, because some people have said, oh, the Buhari did it. But Buhari's dead people were names found on boats and parastatal. But this dead senator, the name went to the National Assembly. The Senate president who presided over the valedictory session of these late senators 5 months ago was the same person that read his name again. That was why I became convinced that the Tinubu intended to assign him as a Nigerian ambassador to either heaven or hell.
Now, this is really funny, but I don't want to laugh because it's a serious matter. I mean, nominating a late senator for a sensitive position of ambassador, because ambassador is like the president.
Yes.
In the country he is assigned to. Now talking about the new Minister of Defense, do you think he will turn the tide, looking at the fact that he was actually dropped as Chief of Defense Staff, then barely weeks after? What changed? Why was he dropped in the first instance?
I congratulate my brother, General Christopher Musa, but I don't envy him. Because I've asked the same question. That what has changed? As a Chief of Defense Staff, he had easy access to the president. He was retired and then invited and appointed as a minister, and he accepted.
If it were you.
Oh my God, nothing will take me close to the villa. I have been a minister. I know what ministers suffer in the hands of the gatekeepers of the president. I was one of the best to Buhari, was very, very close to him. Despite our closeness, I was blocked sometimes for 3 months. I couldn't see the president until I have to go through Nadeko route before I connected. So, for General Musa to now accept to be a Minister of Defense, he is now a minister subject to bureaucratic protocols. Before he will see the president, he will have to go through the protocol. I am not a prophet of doom, but I don't see him performing any miracle.
Well, what I'm saying is, and what people are asking, of course, widely celebrated, but then what really happened, you know, because it was at the peak of the debate around whether there was plan to remove President Tinubu from office or whatever, just like what happened in Benin. That was around the time that he was removed. Was there anything like attempted coup in Nigeria? Have you had?
No, for me, I have a different opinion as to why General Musa was removed.
Okay.
I watched a video of his address to troops in the theater, where he was telling them, from today, you must shoot aside. Nobody should see any terrorist again and claim he had no order to do so. And he enumerated the circumstances allowed under military operational tradition to attack. He read the riot act to them. And immediately I watched that, I became apprehensive.
Is this numbered?
Yes. Not too long, he was removed. But as a Chief of Defense Staff, he was in charge. He has a command. As a Minister of Defense, which people are celebrating with prayers and are happy, he has less to do. And shortly, he will realize that as a minister, you are subject to so many bureaucratic obstacles.
Now, will Trump come to Nigeria?
Trump has every justification to be in Nigeria now.
Will you support him if he were to come?
Tinubu has led a president in Benin. Tinubu, without any approval from, he has gone to Benin.
Well, you know, Talon actually asked him to please help me. That was what ousted but reinstated President of Benin.
Trump was invited by Tinubu and Buhari in 2013.
How?
When they were non-state actors.
But how?
They invited him against Jonathan. Even the issue of Christian genocide was the letter they wrote to President Barack Obama.
Who and who?
To Tinubu and Buhari when they were in Save Nigeria.
But some people say it is the INEC chairman who wrote that letter.
No, INEC chairman wrote a report, a different report. But when we were doing Save Nigeria against Jonathan, you know, I was an active member of Save Nigeria. Yes. We were organizing protests everywhere. In fact, I survived narrowly when I was in Kano, mobilizing against fuel subsidy, withdrawal of fuel subsidy, when Boko Haram attacked Kano. And I survived so many bombs, and I had to lie down on ground.
So you are saying Tinubu and others?
Tinubu, yes, the Save Nigerian group, which is Tinubu, Buhari, Soyinka, Tunde Bakari, Femi Falana, they were the ones who wrote and invite America to come because they were killing Christians. The Boko Haram was throwing bombs everywhere.
Did they say killing Christians, or they said they like Boko Haram?
No, they were very specific, killing Christians, because that time Boko Haram were killing Christians.
All right, I wish we have more time, Barrister Solomon Dalung, to continue with this conversation.
So
we have so many questions for you.
Yes, they invited America.
We'll
so that their invitation is the same thing Talon did. So Trump is responding to their invitation. Let them not talk about sovereignty. They call him.
Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of today's episode of the interview with you, but we hope to have you some other time.
I pray that God will give me the strength to always come.
All right, viewers, that's a wrap on today's package of Daily Politics on Trust TV. Join us tomorrow for another interesting edition of the program. From here, I am Hamza Idris. Bye-bye for now.